Thanks for checking out this episode of the Screen Facts with Jason Davis podcast. In each episode, we discuss a movie and share some fun trivia facts during the conversation. We do our best to release new episodes frequently. Always check on Wednesdays for the latest podcast. Please like us at facebook.com/screenfacts. Post your comments or questions. You can also email screenfacts@yahoo.com or tweet me at JasonDavisVoice. For details about all the different ways to listen to the podcast, including accessing past episodes, please visit jasondavisvoice.com/podcast. Joining me on this episode of the show, my lovely and talented, exceptional wife, Sue.
Wow, thanks, honey.
Always great to do the podcast with you.
Always great to do the podcast with you.
So we're going to discuss an appropriate movie for this Wednesday because it's the day before
Groundhog Day.
That's right, campers. What does he say? Get your booties on because it's cold
outside.
Yeah, so of course we're going to discuss the great Bill Murray flick Groundhog Day today. Directed by Harold Ramis, released February 12th, 1993. Of course, as I mentioned, stars Bill Murray, Andy McDowell, Chris Elliott, and Stephen Tobolowsky as the great Ned Ryerson.
One of my favorite characters of all movie time.
It's a great one, and we'll talk about that more as we get into the podcast.
So much so that even when we drive, when we're out driving and we cross a street that's like Ryerson Ave or Ryerson Road.
Ned
Ryerson! We have to do it. It's so fun.
So the story for the movie was written by Danny Rubin, screenplay by Rubin and Harold Ramis. Estimated budget of $14.6 million, domestic gross of $70.9 million. This movie is number 9 on the list of the highest grossing Bill Murray movies. And that's not including movies where he has a cameo or bit part. So something like Zombieland.
Okay,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Chosen to be preserved by the National Film Registry in 2007, and Premiere voted this movie as one of the 50 greatest comedies of all time in 2006. So I love this movie.
I love this movie. I could watch it over and over again.
You know, of course, the character in the movie that Bill Murray plays keeps reliving the same day over and over again. Mm-hmm. This is a movie I can watch over and over again. And keep enjoying it. It's funny every time.
Yep.
It's great.
Love it. I think part of its appeal is that it's very timeless.
Yeah.
They specifically wrote out or eliminated anything that referred to pop culture of that time.
Okay.
And they tried to do the costumes very classic so that it just would keep going. You know, because there's a lot of comedies that have come out where they're referencing stuff that's going on in the world at that time, which is great and funny at that time. And then 20 years from now, people are going to be like,
Yeah, this one really does hold up.
It really does.
You don't feel like you're watching a movie from the early 90s when you're watching it at all. Other than, that everybody looks younger.
Yeah, they were specifically trying to do that.
Makes sense. The other thing about this film, sadly, is that it kind of has a reputation for causing a rift between Bill Murray and Harold Ramis.
I've heard that.
Yeah, Murray was in the middle of a kind of a rough patch of his life. He was going through a divorce when they were filming, and he was kind of obsessing about the film. Is it funny? What's going on? I'm not really sure what's happening. So he would call Harold Ramis in the middle of the night all the time. And eventually, Harold Ramis sent the other writer, Danny Rubin, to sit down with Bill Murray and kind of iron out all the anxieties that he was having.
Aw, yeah.
And that actually kind of insulted Bill Murray. He stopped speaking to Ramis for, a few years because of stuff like that, which is really sad now that Ramis is gone. I don't know if they reconciled before Ramis passed away. I think they might have.
They did. I think I heard they did.
But I mean, these guys are responsible, whether it's in a director-actor capacity or co-actors or writers or whatever.
They're good together.
For some of the really, the funniest movies of this era,
Yeah.
Stripes, Ghostbusters, Caddyshack.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really funny movies that both Bill Murray and Harold Ramis are a part of. It's sad when you hear that they had a personal issue at some point.
Yeah, I wonder if, by the time they wrapped up filming, if they were still speaking to each other, if they made it through, and then what was it like going to work every day at that point then?
Yeah, I'm not sure, but I would think that, they're both pros, so maybe they wanted to, for the good of the project, get it done, and then maybe they kind of went their separate ways for a little while. I mean, watching the movie, you don't see that.
Right, you don't see attention.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like there's any kind of, thing going on between them. We were talking about when we were preparing for the podcast and we were getting ready to watch the movie again. Well, did they ever explain why he's stuck in the same day?
No.
Yeah, they never
did.
They never did, but early drafts of the script did talk about that, why
Yeah,
Phil
yeah.
Connors was reliving the same day.
Right.
Supposedly a dissatisfied ex-lover named Stephanie cast a spell on him to teach him a lesson. I'm kind of glad that they left that
Yeah.
untold.
Yeah, and I think the production company even went to Rubin and said, "Oh no, this needs to be a gypsy curse, and he needs to do something to undo it, and blah blah blah." And Rubin said, "No,
Yeah, it's
there's
very hokey.
absolutely no reason for that."
Right, it would have been very hokey.
Yeah, just wanted to see it that way. I read a really cool interview with Danny Rubin. He said he had gone to the movies one day, summer 1990 maybe, and his wife was home with the baby, and he was going out to the movies.
Okay.
And he brought a book with him. It was a vampire book.
Okay.
So he had was already kicking the idea around of immortality and
Okay.
because vampires live forever and this and that and the other thing. So he had that in the back of his mind for a while. How long would it take till it's not fun anymore? The eternity, because eternity's, think about it.
Yeah.
That's it's big. So, how long do you go? What kind of fun can you have? And, maybe this is a good idea for a movie was what he thought. And then his agent was after him to, go, you should put something, really get something new, get something quick together. The agent wanted to be able to use it as a calling card to get into movies. So he said he had a box of index cards with different ideas on it. So he went back to the one that said, guy wakes up every morning, it's the same day. So he was like, this is a good way to explore the immortality, eternity thing. Because think about it, if you make a movie about someone who's eternal, you have to cover old wars, the Depression, this, that, the future. And he said that's really expensive. That's a movie that's not going to happen.
Right.
But when it's the same day over and over, that's very affordable.
Yeah, you could do a lot with that. Absolutely.
Same set,
and you can
same
make it
everything,
funny.
same costumes.
Right. And you can make it funny, more
Yeah.
importantly, which
Yeah.
certainly works in this case.
Yeah, so he began writing, and he said, well, let me put it together with a holiday. So he opened up the calendar, and literally the first thing he saw was Groundhog Day.
Okay.
So that's how he chose Groundhog Day.
So there was actually a possibility this could have been any other day.
Yeah.
I mean, I figured it made sense that it was Groundhog Day because everybody bases, whether there's going to be more winter or an early spring because of the groundhog.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
It kind of tied into that.
I was having so much fun with my research because I started from a different end. I started with what's the real meaning of Groundhog Day and Candlemas and Imbolg and all of those great, pagan festivals that brought it together and blah, blah, blah. And the deepness of the this and, the beliefs of the settlers, all the stuff. And then he was just to read, I opened up the calendar, I saw Groundhog Day. I was like, oh, come on.
It's really funny, too, because I think Groundhog Day is a silly event every year. I mean, if you really think that a rodent is going to predict the weather.
It's an old German tradition, actually. I'll tell you more about that later.
Oh, okay. Okay. On the DVD, Harold Ramis said that the original idea was for Phil Connors to live February 2nd for about 10,000 years.
Right.
I don't know how exactly they would have shown that.
I know.
Because nothing changes.
And he doesn't age. So,
right.
yeah.
According to the website Wolf Nards, Bill Murray spends 8 years, 8 months, and 16 days trapped in Groundhog Day.
Right, yep.
The website Obsessed with Film claims he was trapped 12,403 days, just under 34 years, in order to account for becoming a master piano player, ice sculptor, etc.
Right. Someone even calls him Dr. Connors, right?
At
the end of the movie?
I think at some point,
yeah. So it's an honorary title.
And one of the other things that Ramis said was that most of the times when he tried to explain a scene to Bill Murray, Murray would say, just tell me, good or bad, Phil?
Yeah, because he starts off, he's very snarky, very sarcastic, very egocentric. But part of that is that he just doesn't even like himself that much.
Right. Well, I want to say, as from personal experience, years ago when I was first trying to break into broadcasting, when I was first working in radio part-time, in addition to that, I was working doing camera work for local news in Wilkes-Barre, Pennsylvania. And I can actually confirm that news people, my experience, and I'm not saying it's for everybody, but my experience is that there are definitely egos going on in that business, even on a small local level. Like Wilkes-Barre is a decent sized market. I can only imagine what people in New York and LA are like.
Pittsburgh.
Yeah, Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's a pretty good sized market too.
Yeah.
It's bigger than Wilkes-Barre.
Well, that's where they are. They're based in Pittsburgh. Yeah.
I think there has to be a little bit of ego. I don't want to sound like I'm beating up on these people because I think if you're going to go on in front of cameras and give the facts and all that, it's probably a pretty stressful kind of thing. You got to make sure you get things right and everything else.
Yep. Well, at least back then you did.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, before the age of alternate facts.
Oh, my.
All right, let's not get
I
political.
went there. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Let's get back out of there again.
Yeah. Let's climb out of that. But yeah, so that's why. So this movie is a little bit even funnier to me because, I've seen people like Phil Connors.
Yep.
That refer to themselves as the talent. And that's a funny thing to me because I do voiceover work and I hate calling myself voiceover talent because I feel like that's very pretentious sounding.
Wow. I think you have voiceover talent, honey.
Well, I'm not looking for a compliment. I'm just saying that I don't know how else to, voiceover professional. What do I call myself?
But that's, in the biz.
It is.
The actors or the people in front of the camera, whatever that's called, the talent.
I know, but it's just funny. So the movie actually wasn't filmed in Punxsutawney either.
It was not. Punxsutawney was chosen because Rubin needed a small, claustrophobic kind of place for the character to get stuck.
Makes sense.
And he also had a great reason to tie in the weatherman going to the town to cover the Groundhog Festival.
Right.
So once he named the character Phil, he was like on a roll, a roll with it. Do you know he did some research and he wrote notes and did all that stuff for around 7 weeks? But then when he sat down to write the script, it was 1 week.
Wow. So he had sort of an outline for 7 weeks, and then he just put it all together really fast with Harold Ramis.
Yep.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
That's a great example of if you're prepared, things usually work out a lot smoother.
Yeah. The funny thing was his agent read it and said, wow, this is great. This is the best script I've ever written, which I think is what agents tell their writer clients all the time. But anyway.
Probably.
But he said, this is a great script and I'm not going to be able to sell it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And he was right. It took them a long time. They took it around to a lot of places, around to a lot of meetings. And it took around a year to get it to land on Harold Ramis's desk. And finally, Harold Ramis looked at it and said, yes, we can do
something
this.
with it. Now, I wonder why that was the case.
I don't know.
I don't know if the early drafts of the script were super different from what became the film.
Yeah.
But, this is a funny movie.
All the producers they asked said, I love it. I can't make it.
Wow.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, that is.
Yeah.
So they shot in Woodstock, Illinois,
Yes,
just
they did.
45 miles from Bill Murray's hometown of Wilmette. Mm-hmm. There's a small plaque that reads, Bill Murray stepped here on the curb where Bill Murray kept stepping into the giant puddle.
Oh, yeah, that's a doozy.
And there's also a plaque on the building wall at the corner that says Ned's Corner, where Bill Murray keeps being accosted by Ned Ryerson.
Yep.
The actual Gobbler's Knob, where the ceremony takes place every year, is a rural wooded area about 2 miles outside of Punxsutawney.
That's right.
It's kind of interesting. You look at this town in the movie, and you go, it's sort of charming.
Yeah.
It seems like a cool place that you wouldn't mind visiting and spending maybe, a few days, the bed and breakfast. You take in the local whatever and nice little quiet getaway.
Speaking of getaways, if you wanted to, we could hop in the car. We could drive around 6 hours.
Okay.
And we would land in Punxsutawney.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Punxsutawney has a Groundhog Day festival, and it's like 4 or 5 days maybe.
Okay.
And it starts, obviously before Groundhog Day.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So it all culminates with Phil coming out and giving the forecast.
Okay.
And then the big thing that night, remember in the movie, they had some dinner and dancing the night before.
Oh, okay.
And then you see them going to see the groundhog, and then later they have the dinner dance.
Okay.
So
there's stuff before and after the actual groundhog sees his shadow or doesn't see his shadow.
Yeah.
So a couple of days before and maybe a couple of days after Groundhog Day, too?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So some of the things that happen before is they have like a top hat decorating contest for the kids. Very cute. They have a dog costume competition. Best Groundhog Day in winter wear. And it's not only based on the costume, it's creativity, stage presence, and relevance to the category entered.
Okay.
So I'm sure we could win that if we put our hearts to it.
Oh,
so
yeah,
maybe
'cause you're
next
good at
year,
that.
maybe next year we should plan ahead.
Okay.
And do this. I'm serious.
We're going to dress the dog up as a groundhog?
Why not? They also have a Groundhog Day cornhole tournament.
Okay.
And if you win, you get 2 inner circle section passes for Groundhog Day.
Wow.
Yes, that gets you in there for the forecasting and the dinner dance the next night.
That's the big time there.
That's big time. They also have Gobbler's Knob's Got Talent.
Oh, okay.
Takes place at the Punxsutawney Community Center every year.
Uh-huh.
2 finalists get inner circle passes, a parking pass, and the opportunity to perform on the stage at Gobbler's Knob.
Wow.
I know.
So this is really a big deal.
Yeah, so judges get it to the finalist point. They perform on the stage at Gobbler's Knob, and then the grand prize winner is determined on Groundhog Day morning by the crowd. Grand prize, $500.
Wow.
We gotta go.
We should, man. It'd be worth the ride just for that, right?
It would be. I would also go to Woodstock, Illinois, because you know why? What they do out there?
They do stuff there, too?
This movie has transformed 2 towns.
Wow.
Yeah. They have a dinner dance. They have free showings of the movie Groundhog Day. And they do a walking tour of some of the sites in the movie.
Oh, okay.
Which would be really cool.
Yeah.
What I think is super cool, I'm going to skip over most of this, but I do have to mention, you were saying, stay in a bed and breakfast. And that bed and breakfast does look very sweet. The room itself, they filmed in a warehouse.
Yes, the interiors of Bill Murray's room at the bed and breakfast were filmed in an empty warehouse in Cary, Illinois.
Yeah. But what they did at the Royal Victorian Manor, they made a Bill Murray's room, and they have a clock radio encased in plexi in the parlor.
That only plays I Got You, Babe?
They rigged it into a coin slot. When you insert a quarter, it plays I Got You, Babe, and then the radio announcements after.
And it's like the guys?
It's like in the main room. Yeah.
That's funny. The guys that did the DJ stuff, that was Harold Ramis and Brian Doyle Murray.
Oh, how cool.
Yeah.
So, Roadside America's got a lot of cool information on visiting Woodstock, Illinois, if you're interested.
Yeah.
I think it would be so cool. Get an RV and go to all the places that we've learned about from all the different movies.
It's funny because we've talked about a lot of movies that the locations are celebrated. Like, way back at the beginning of the podcast, I did an episode about Field of Dreams.
Right.
And you could still go to that place in Iowa.
Yeah.
Which I think would be amazing.
Yeah, remember when we did Goonies? And I was saying
Goonies.
I would love to go to Oregon and see that town because they have stuff set up there. When we talked about Wonderful Life, you can go up to the town that they based Bedford Falls on, and they have a whole bunch of stuff. I think that would be so fun.
And of course, when you and I went to Philadelphia for Tim's 40th birthday, we ran up the steps where Rocky ran. And
you
could
ran,
see
I walked.
You can see, Rocky's footprints are in
climbed.
the cement there, which is very cool. And we, took pictures by the statue.
I think it would be fun to take a movie vacation.
Yeah, I think that could be a fun thing. A lot of people talk about visiting every major league ballpark.
Yeah. We could go to
across the country.
Movie locations. Because, you look at a movie. I mean, I look at this movie, and it's so funny because I always think it's Punxsutawney, even though it was Woodstock.
Right.
But I'm like, that looks like such a nice town to go visit.
It does look pretty cool. Like a town that time forgot, maybe.
Yeah.
Assuming that it looks the same as it does in the movie
right.
a little bit.
Well, some has changed. But if you take the tour, they'll point out what's different now.
Yeah.
But, like everybody knows each other.
Yeah.
It's just nice.
Yeah. Yeah, you imagine that the people that live in that small town are similar to the ones in the movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of really funny stuff in the movie. It's kind of charming.
Yeah,
and I think
it really is.
We all, I think, certainly romanticize a little bit about that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Because everybody's, depending on where you live in the country, there's a lot of fast-paced stuff going on all the time, and everybody's, disagreeing about this or that and everything else.
You barely know your neighbors. No one hangs out with their neighbors anymore.
True, most of the time. So when you see in a movie like everybody knowing each other, it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I think it would be fun to experience that.
And in the beginning, he hates that.
Yeah.
He hates it.
Yeah.
And Reed is the one going,
because he thinks he's above it. That's why.
Yeah, I think it's sweet. They do this, they do that. And look at these people. They sing, and then when they get cold, they warm up by the fire. Then they go and sing again. And what does he say back to her?
It's because they're hicks, Rita.
Exactly.
Well, you know what it is?
It bothers him so much in the beginning.
Because he's such an elitist. He thinks he's, he thinks he's above all that.
Yeah.
Because he's the talent,
Yeah.
It's his goal to get there, do the report, and get out of there as fast as he can.
Yeah.
So the scenes of Bill Murray filming his weather predictions at the news station in the beginning, and when they introduced Andy McDowell's character, they weren't actually fully formed until the editing process. So they actually had to go back and shoot that when everything else was done, which I think is interesting. Most people realize that films are shot out of sequence most of the time.
Yeah.
But it's interesting how what becomes sort of the center of the movie, the relationship between those two characters, was something that wasn't even really fully fleshed out when they were filming, which is kind of neat.
Yeah, that's interesting. I love in the beginning when she's standing in front of the blue screen and her jacket matches it, and she's doing where
she's sort of invisible. Yeah.
It's really cute. It just shows you she's, she can enjoy the simple things.
His report is great in front of the blue screen, and when he does the blow thing and the clouds move on the screen. The scene where Bill Murray gets out of the news van and he talks to the state trooper.
Oh, yeah.
When in the middle of the snowstorm was on the Amstutz Expressway under the Grand Avenue overpass just outside of downtown Waukegan, Illinois.
Okay.
The Amstutz Expressway was also used in another great film that we've talked about on the podcast, the big chase scene in The Blues Brothers.
Ah, yes.
There was a decent amount of improv in the movie, too, which, you probably could have expected with Bill Murray as your star.
Yeah.
And Harold Ramis directing. Yeah. During the filming of the scene when he kidnaps the Groundhog, which is a funny sequence, Bill Murray improvised the line, "Don't drive angry, don't drive angry," to cover the fact that the groundhog is kind of trying to get away from him. He's on on Bill Murray's lap.
Yep.
He's trying to climb over the steering wheel. Well, the groundhog was so agitated that he ended up biting Bill Murray. And the bites were so bad that he had to have like rabies shots and stuff. So he got hurt a little bit.
Bill Murray was actually bit 3 times during the filming, like big time bites.
Listen, it's tough working with animals, right?
It's tough. Kids and animals, isn't that what they say?
That's what they say.
Yeah.
And Phil the you never know what you're going to get.
It's true. Phil the Groundhog himself has a very, very interesting history.
He does.
He does. Wouldn't you like me to tell you about it?
I would love for you to tell me about it.
Well, apparently, Phil is around 127 years old.
What?
I know. Well, the average groundhog only lives to be around 6 to 8 years old.
Okay.
But every year at the groundhog picnic in the summer in Punxsutawney, Phil has a sip of the elixir of life.
I see.
No one can see me doing my air quotes around that. The elixir kind of changes his appearance a little bit, which is why he might be a little more gray one year. and then he's a little browner. Then he's a little more black.
It's not because it's a different groundhog.
No. It's all the same groundhog drinking the elixir of life.
That's correct. Okay.
Alas, the elixir does not work on humans. One of the wardens of the inner circle of the Groundhog Club, co-handler of Phil, said, "We've tried it on humans. It just makes them fat and bald."
Oh, no.
Yeah. Phil has a wife. No. He's had many wives, actually, since he's so old.
Okay.
He's had quite a few, but he always finds love again when his current wife passes away. His wife's name? Phyllis.
I was going to say, it has to be Phyllis.
He doesn't have kids. There's nothing wrong with him. He's been asked if there's any reproducing problems, and the answer is no.
He has strong sperm?
He's very fine, but he and his wife decided that they're too busy to have a family. So he loves kids, and he considers everybody to be his kids.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like Santa, I guess.
Oh, okay.
Isn't that sweet?
Yeah. It's so funny that this rodent has a backstory.
I know. It's so cute.
So, as the film progresses, of course, well, first off, Phil Connors, he's really frustrated in the beginning.
Yeah.
But then he starts to use it to his advantage, which it becomes very funny in the movie.
Right.
Like the scene with Nancy.
Oh, my gosh.
Where he gets, she's doing that really awkward dancing.
Dog. Everyone in Punxsutawney in this movie dances with their hands funny.
Yeah, it's really funny. But there was also a scene shot where Phil destroys his room. Phil Connors, where he slashes pillows, he spray paints the walls, all kinds of stuff. He also shaves his head. Then the camera pulls back from his face to show that his hair and the room were back to normal the next morning. Harold Ramis sort of had a hard time making the dissolving shot match, so they ended up just changing it to Phil breaking a pencil instead.
That's a lot easier.
Yeah, it's a lot easier. But I think it's, interesting.
That's in the real beginning when he first realizes what's going on.
Oh, yeah. I mean, so frustrating.
Yeah.
Because he doesn't want to be there, so.
Yeah.
Another thing that I think is cool, though, when he does start to use it to his advantage and he starts playing the piano and all that. We've talked about this before on the Ghostbusters podcast. But the song that Phil plays on the piano at the bar when he's jamming with the band is called Cleaning Up the Town. It was also featured in Ghostbusters. In Ghostbusters, the song plays when Murray, Aykroyd, and Ramis are fleeing the library in the beginning.
Okay.
So let's talk about Ned Ryerson.
Oh, I love Ned Ryerson.
One of the funniest characters ever. And that actor, he's a great character actor.
Yeah.
Stephen Tobolowsky.
Yep.
And how, each time, it's sort of the same, but sort of different that he encounters Ned.
Mm-hmm. And I mean, the first setup, you don't tell me you don't remember me, because I sure as heck fire remember you. And then what do you do now? I sell insurance. Of course you do.
Ned Ryerson. Ned the Head, Needle-Nosed Ned. Come on, buddy.
Bing.
So I think by the time Bill Murray comes around and he's starting to become a nicer guy in the movie, when Ned comes up to him, Bill Murray actually ad-libbed the line when he tells Ned, "I don't know where you're headed, but can you call in sick?"
Oh, I love that when he's hugging
hugs him. Yeah, and he hugs him.
And you can Ned just see Ned's face is like, ugh.
And the store Lloyd's, that was seen in the background in all of the Ned Ryerson scenes, They actually tried to sue the production for several $1,000s.
What?
They were claiming lost business. I think being in the movie that much would probably be a good thing, no?
Yeah, and plus people will, in the area will go there to see it.
Right. So if you're keeping score, Rita slaps Phil 10 times during the course of the film.
And they are good slaps, too.
The diner that was used in the movie is now a Starbucks, of course.
Of course.
And they shot 25 takes of the closing scene where Bill Murray wakes up next to Andie MacDowell. They weren't sure if Phil and Rita should be in their clothes or not. Harold Ramis had everyone on the set, the cast and crew, vote as to how it should be played. The winning vote was that the couple should still be in their clothes and not had sex yet.
And I think that also helps you believe that Bill Murray's character has snapped out of his selfish face.
Yeah.
And it's actually kind of cute because in the morning he goes to kiss her and she's like, "Oh, where was this last night? You just fell asleep."
Yeah.
Yeah,
because the whole movie he's pawing at her and trying to get lucky.
He's trying so hard. He tries all these different attempps. I love how
the
whole
ice cream and the fudge and
I ate fudge.
the French poetry.
Yeah.
And I love with the when he orders the
drink.
sweet vermouth.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, was Harold Ramis' wife's favorite drink.
Yep.
I love, when she says,
Groundhog.
yeah, and she's like, I always like to toast to world peace.
Yeah.
And then the next day they show him doing that.
Yeah.
So
and then
funny.
it gets him a little bit further each time.
Yeah.
And her reactions. So I like to drink to world peace, and you see her going like, and they get a little further. But
Yeah.
then it always eventually ends up with a
slap. A slap. Yeah, because he always just takes it one step too far. So funny.
So how many times did they go out on that date in his world?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, too funny.
Yeah.
And the final shot where Phil carries Rita over the gate and then climbs over it.
Oh, that was because the gate was actually frozen shut, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which I think is funny.
Yeah, very cute. Well,
But, it's funny because it really works for the scene anyway.
Let's live here. We'll rent to start.
So there were a couple of casting notes that I wanted to mention.
Okay.
So Harold Ramis originally wanted Tom Hanks to play Phil and also considered Chevy Chase, Steve Martin, and John Travolta, but decided that they were all too nice to play that character, which I think is interesting.
This is a great part for Bill Murray, I
Yeah.
thought. A lot of people consider this role his springboard.
Okay.
Because up until then, he had really just done comedy. And
Like
he was
wacky.
really seen largely as a clown.
Right.
But after that, he was considered a more complex actor.
Yeah, because there's, a little bit of depth to the character. It's not just, done for laughs the whole time.
Yeah, yeah. And his, he starts out so cynical, but then he ends up very sincere, but there's no cliches about it. There's nothing stereotypical. I think he's a really great actor.
Oh, absolutely.
In general.
We may or may not have talked about this on a past episode of the podcast when we've talked about Bill Murray, but St. Vincent,
Yes.
I can't say enough about his performance in that movie. How he was not nominated for an Oscar for that is beyond me. Great movie, and he was absolutely fantastic in that.
So 100% believable.
Yeah, and that's actually a great role for Melissa McCarthy, too. Very different from what she normally does.
Yeah.
So, highly recommend St. Vincent if you're a Bill Murray fan.
Absolutely. I also heard that before Andie MacDowell, they were considering giving the part of Rita to Tori Amos.
I mean, I don't know much about her, other than she's a singer.
Yeah. Back then, Andie MacDowell didn't really have much of a film career, right? She was a model.
This was probably one of her biggest roles at that time.
Had she done other parts?
She had done
Okay.
a couple of things before this. Sex Lies and Videotape was one.
Okay.
She also did one of the Tarzan movies.
Oh, okay.
And some other stuff. Huh. But this was probably like one of her biggest successes.
I thought she was adorable in it.
Yeah,
I love
she was
watching
good.
her.
Yeah.
Like, she's the kind of female lead that, you can just get behind because she's so cute,
Yeah, and then she did Multiplicity with
Oh,
Michael
yes.
Keaton.
Okay.
Another movie directed by Harold Ramis.
Yes. Okay.
So Bill Murray, Chris Elliott, Brian Doyle Murray, and Robin Duke from this movie are all former cast members of Saturday Night Live.
Uh-huh.
In fact, Brian Doyle Murray and Duke were in the same cast during the 1981 to 82 season.
Okay.
And Sean Shiavat, who played the boy that Phil catches when he falls out of the tree when he has
Never
to
thank me.
Yeah, when he has to go run all the errands.
See you tomorrow.
Well, he's now a TV news reporter for WCVB in Boston.
Oh, that's funny.
He worked in Orlando for a little while, and then he moved to Boston. So I think that's cool that he ended up doing sort of what Bill Murray does in the movie, except he's not a weather guy.
Not
He's
weather,
like,
right?
he's a reporter, a street reporter.
Yeah, that's funny.
So what else you got?
The thing that struck me is how many different people find the relevance of this still to today, including people of different faiths. and how they use it, in their own spirituality.
Oh, man.
I mean,
Like karma and stuff?
yeah.
Okay.
Well, obviously, that's the obvious. Danny Rubin said the movie was never intended by me or by Harold to be anything more than a good, heartfelt, entertaining story. We had some terrific conversations about Buddhism and reincarnation, about Superman and the ethics of not saving everybody, other philosophical ideas, but we never anticipated the impact the film would have. The message that's commonly found everywhere, just the essential truth of is when we get beyond denial and resentment over the conditions of life and death and we can accept our situation, then life ceases to be a problem and we can become authentic and compassionate. Okay, that's a little deep, but think about it, because he goes through a big transformation.
Yeah, and you thought this was just going to be a conversation about a silly movie.
I know. Early in the movie, Phil gorges on food.
Right.
Later in the movie, he provides a feast for the old man.
Right.
Earlier in the movie, he keeps killing himself.
Uh-huh.
Later in the movie, he starts saving people.
Right.
Earlier, he injures people's self-esteem with sarcasm. He drives people away. Right. Later, he draws people to him. Once you accept the fact that you are where you are, that's when good things can start to happen.
Makes sense.
I think.
Yeah.
And you should make the most of what you have with your time at hand.
Yeah. And that's something that we've read about a lot, when you talk about law of attraction stuff and The Secret and all that. If anybody's into that, it's always about being grateful, showing gratitude for what you have and being happy with what you have.
Exactly.
Instead of constantly wanting more.
Exactly.
It's okay to want things, but I think it's counterproductive to a happy life to only be concerned with things that you don't have and want.
Oh, definitely. That's just make yourself miserable.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you see he's kind of settling into the day, when he's teaching Rita to toss the cards. Mm-hmm. And that's like one of the few clues about how long he's been there, actually. Mm-hmm. The film doesn't really offer too many clues, and that's one of the few. When he's like, if you do this for a half hour, every day for 5 months or whatever it was, you get pretty good, remember?
Okay, yeah.
But, making the most of what you have, I mean, I'll tear up over anything.
Believe me, I tear up too.
I actually get a little teary at the end too,
Sure.
When he talks about, the warmth of the people and the this and the that.
I think the reason that you get teary-eyed, and I'm touched too, is that, you see this character go through this major transformation. And if you're not touched by that, check your pulse. Because, and, I'm thinking about it now. There's 3 Bill Murray movies where his character goes through a big transformation.
Oh, okay, because I was thinking of Scrooged.
Right.
Okay.
This and St. Vincent.
Yes.
St. Vincent, he's still a curmudgeon at the end of that.
But not as...
I mean, that's not really a spoiler, I don't think. Yeah. But he definitely, transforms. Mm-hmm. But Scrooge, every time we watch Scrooge, I tear up at the end of that.
Because he goes from so mean and rotten to he's really feeling, you can see him feeling the joy of being happy.
Yeah. And I know that that's an old story.
Yeah.
But, Dickens and all that. Yeah. But that's still, the way he does it, he gets me every time. Because he's so, I really believe him.
Yeah.
He's so good.
Yeah. To have somebody who, was absolutely Scrooge saying, just go up to someone and give him a sandwich and say, here.
Right.
And I'm like, yes.
Yeah, and not to be preachy, but God, we need that nowadays more than ever.
We do just need to be happy where we're at and want to help each other just for the reason of helping. Not looking for anything in return.
Right, exactly.
Absolutely.
It's a tough world out there, people.
So put your woolies on.
If you don't want to love each other, if it's too much to ask to love each other, just be kind to each other.
Yeah.
I don't think we could finish on a better note than that.
I don't think so.
Honey, as always, thank you for spending the time with me to do this.
And you know what? If I woke up tomorrow and we were going to do this all over again, I'd be happy about it.
Me too. And thanks to you for listening. We always appreciate it. And we always appreciate your feedback. If you have any comments, questions, or anything, remember our Facebook page is facebook.com/screenfacts. You can email us to screenfacts@yahoo.com. You can follow me on Twitter @JasonDavisVoice. Please support the show by rating and commenting on iTunes. It'll just take a couple of minutes, doesn't cost you anything. And remember that we do our best, as I mentioned earlier, to release new episodes frequently. We'll try to do 1 or 2 a month at least. Always check on Wednesdays for the latest show. For details about all the different ways to stream and download the podcasts, including past episodes, please visit jasondavisvoice.com/podcast. Show theme music by audionautics.com, and special thanks to our announcer Kim McKay from kimsvoice.com.
Screen Facts with Jason Davis is a production of Jason Davis VoiceOver. Visit jasondavisvoice.com if you need a voice for a commercial, narration, promo, internet video, e-learning or training program, and more. Click on the podcast page to get information about where you can download and listen to past episodes. Listen again next Wednesday for a new episode of Screen Facts with Jason Davis.